Back, I did a video on my pre-facelift W204, the 2009 C200 Kompressor. But what we have here today is the facelifted version, the 2011 Mercedes Benz C200 BlueEfficiency, the turbocharged version of the W204. Today I'm going to show you around this car, and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. I'd like to thank our video sponsor, ZeroStainAutomotive.com. ZeroStainAutomotive.com is a website that sells car parts and accessories. They're kind enough to send me this one right here, the Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights. Now, I received one from them before, which I installed in my LC90 Prado, the Land Cruiser, but they sent me another one, which I shall install later on. They also sent me a couple of stuff like tail bulbs and P10 light bulbs, which you can use for your plate number or your interior lights, so they are quite handy. They also sent me some tire gel right here and an all-purpose cleaner. Start with the front of the W204 that has been facelifted. So your grille, it's exactly the same as the older one. You also have your bento box right here. Get it like rice, meat, and veggies over there. I really like the look of that. Then the main attraction here, the main difference is that in the old one, it's just like straight like that, which looks really old and a bit dated by today's standards. However, now you have these lights that are a bit L-shaped, and they remind me of the original CLS. And they also kind of remind me of a more E-Class look to it, a more W212 look to it. Then down here, your bumper has also been changed. You used to have like really round, old-looking fog lights, but now you have these nice strips to it. As with most Mercs from like the late 2000s to the early 2010s, they removed the hood ornament, which makes it look a lot younger, I guess, yes. However, personally, I really love the look of having a hood star up front. Now, you can still get the hood star if you want to, if you get this car in the lower trim package. I believe that's the Classic and the Elegance one. But if you get any of these avant-garde models, this is all you get. It's like a button. That's it. One really annoying thing about this facelift bumper right here is that you get these fake vents, but they didn't even like give you some sense of it passing through. No. It's just like, you can see it from a mile away that there are just ridges, but there's no actual vents. Now from the side, you can just see just how elegant the W204 C Class is. Like, if you think of Mercedes Benz or the three-pointed star, this is one of those design language that you can easily think of and imagine in your head. Again, it's a very elegant design, but despite this car being an elegant design, you have to remember that this is not the elegance trim. This is the top trim avant-garde model. For your reference, this car came in 3 trims. You had the Classic, which is the base model. You have the Elegance, which is a step above that. That's more of, well, an elegant design. Then you have the avant-garde, which is the more sporty design. Now in the pre-facelift model, they would usually put the trim code over here, so it can either be Classic, Elegance, or Avant-Garde. But for this facelift model, they decided to put BlueEfficiency. What this means is that you don't get a supercharger anymore. You're stuck with a turbocharger with a lot of lags, but it's still a good car overall. Your rims, it's exactly the same as a pre-facelift, so you get 17-inch rims. These are 225/45/17s. As with the rest of the car, I can't stress it enough that this car just looks elegant even from the back. Like, if this part, right, the trunk lid, you might think that it's just one continuous curve like that, but Mercedes designers put a little bit more detail to it. So here, right at the dead center, you have a small divider. It's like a kink in the trunk that divides the entire car in half. Really love that look. And down here, there's really not much difference from the pre-facelift. However, you finally have LED turn signals. But personally, I'm not a big fan of them. I think they look like those beads you get in those desiccant things, those anti-humidity things, the balls, just like that you get from a dollar store. Finally, one thing I want to talk about are these exhausts. So you get one single round shroud, but inside there's like 2 tailpipes in there. It's kind of odd. I don't know what that's for, probably for some like efficiency thing, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of the look. Under the hood of the C200 Kompressor, you have this 1.8 liter M271 engine, which produces 184 horsepower in PS and 270 Newton meters of torque. Now do note that this is 20 Newton meters more than its supercharged counterparts, but you'll see the drive later on how it performs. Inside the C200, first let's check the thud of the door. As with most Mercedes, it's a great sounding door. Now let's start the car up. You don't have push button start yet. Fire side up like that. Now in here is the biggest difference between this car and the pre-facelift model. So first, your dashboard is a completely new dashboard. You already have an integrated screen right into the dash. Your instrument cluster too, it's really nice looking. You even have like a graphic electronic display in the middle compared to the old one that just looks a little bit dated today. Your steering wheel has also been updated. The leather is a bit better. It's now a 3-spoke versus the older like 4-spoke, which looks kind of weird. The good thing about the steering wheel is that it is both tilt and telescoping, so you can easily find your favorite driving position. As for your seat, it is power, but only for the recline, but you still have to like twist a knob to change how high your seat is. And you can also move it forward and backwards, but of course it is just manual. Over here at the side, you have lumbar support, but this lumbar support is in a very awkward angle, so it's a bit hard to reach it. And you have to note that only the driver gets it. The passenger, well, they have to make do without lumbar support. Now for your air vents as well, they have been changed. Now you have two slightly rectangular air vents in the middle, but they are oddly round on both the left and right side. I really like the design though. Overall, it's definitely a much better place to be than in the pre-facelift model. If you compare this car to its competitors like the BMW E93 series, this definitely does look like a much more upscale car than that, even if you get that car with the iDrive system. Down in the middle, you have your radio controls. Again, it's much better than its predecessor. You have this thing right here that's made out of like mesh. A lot of people think that that's like a speaker or a mic. No, that's actually the cabin temperature sensor. Your mic for your Bluetooth audio and all that is over here up top. Now this car doesn't have a sunroof, but you can also get models of this cars with a sunroof. I believe if you get like the C300 and above, it was an option there. But for this one, I think it's possible, but it's really hard to get the options for that. Now you get a lot more brushed aluminum trim. You have an avant-garde badge. Then your shifter, well, it's a traditional shifter. You can even manually adjust it plus and minus. And you also have E and S mode, which is, well, economy and sport mode. To the back of that, you have this wheel that can easily control the command system. It is very easy to use. Just second to the BMW iDrive in terms of how easy it is to use. You have this sliding thing that you can slide. You can put a rather big jug of water there. Open this one up. I love how it flips to both sides. And in here you have a iPod connectivity dongle, and you also have like just one USB port, but that one unfortunately does not connect to the audio of your car. Here at the back to check the thud of the door. Really good sounding door. Now let's check if the window goes all the way down. It almost does. It's not quite there, but really close. Good enough for me. Let's put it back up. Now back here, the legroom is great for anyone like 5'6" or 5'8" and below. This is seated by my driving position. I am only 5'6", and I have around that much legroom. That's around like what, 5-6 inches. It really helps that this one has a nice cutout for it. You also get like map pockets here at the back. They feel really high quality, not your typical like net and all that, which can sag over time. I like these ones. Your only toy back here is you get your own 2 air vents, no climate control, and you also have this one right here, this armrest. It's also nice and leather padded. You can also lift it up to reveal a felt lined cubby. Then you open this one up and you get 2 cup holders, which are really nice and large, and they can even adjust depending on like the size of your drink. So really like that. Now close that one back up and close this. Can you see 3 people here in the middle? It's actually not bad. You can do that. Headroom is rather good. It's not that high. The seat, I mean, is not that high. And the width of the car, it's not exactly the widest, but sitting 3 people back here is not a big problem. You can kind of do it. It's much better than in a 3 Series because your transmission tunnel, it is not that high and it's a little bit narrow. So yeah, you can definitely do it, especially in shorter journeys. So driving the 2011 C200 BlueEfficiency. So this car has the exact same engine as the 2009 C200 that I reviewed way back, but the big difference is that although it uses the same M271 engine, this one is turbocharged and that one is supercharged. Hence that was called the Kompressor, which is the German word for well, supercharged. Now the thing about driving this car compared to that is This one supposedly has 20 Newton meters of torque more than that. However, because of its turbocharger instead of the supercharger, there is really that very noticeable turbo delay. Even if you put this car into like sport mode and you floor it like that, the power doesn't come on until around 3,500 RPM. So it's like you go, you step on it, it goes really, really slow. Then you hit 3,500 RPM and it just gives you that instant boost like that. Now you might think that that is a good thing because hey, you get boost, but it's just not a very linear experience as compared to the supercharged version. Now I'm not saying the engine in this car is bad. It's definitely not. The M271 is a really good engine, but I mean, they could do better. If only they kept the supercharged engine on this one, I think it's going to be a much better driving car. Now, if you want to like accelerate this car, there's even a kickdown feature. It's actually not slow at all. It's rather brisk. It's not the pocket rocket, just like the previous one, even the supercharged one, but it's still a relatively good cruising car. Now, when it comes to the handling of this car, it's relatively flat. I can't exactly compare it to the 2009 C200, which I had, because that had lowering springs. It had rather large C63 rims. Yes, it's a bit ricer, and it had the quad exhaust. I'll admit that. However, I still also have to say that this car, for what it is, it's still not on par with a BMW 3 Series. I also had the E90 a while back. It was a 318i, and that corners way better. But because of the fact that this one corners a bit worse, ride comfort is way better than an E90. Like, you just feel it immediately. This car is not as like jarry and over speed bumps and potholes. It wouldn't make your body hurt a lot. Unlike the E90, that was like driving a sports car almost when it comes to the suspension on that one. Now, there's a corner we're about to go through. I'm just gonna power through it rather fast, and the car, yes, there's a bit of body roll. I can feel the tires almost giving up on that. Really, it's not that flat, but it's pretty good. Remember, it's still a rear-wheel drive car, so if you compare it to another competitor of it, the Audi A4, it's definitely a way better driving car than that. NVH in this car is not bad, although I think I prefer the pre-facelift model. Why is that so? Because this car, again, you have to rev it a little bit more to get the same power, to maintain the same speed as you would with the older version. So you really have to let the engine make just a little bit more noise, and that noise does permeate into the cabin a little bit more. But when it comes to like the tire noise, yes, this has different tires as my C200 again. But this one, I don't know, it produces a little bit more noise, so it's not as serene and quiet as that car which I had. Not everything is a downside for this car, because compared to the pre-facelift model, this is just a much better cabin. This is just a place that you want to be in more in longer journeys in your daily commute, because the dashboard, the steering wheel, they're all just more appealing, not just to the touch, but they're also very appealing to the eyes. And your instrument cluster as well, your gauge cluster, it's also way better. The general feel when driving this car, it's a rather comfortable car. Of course, it's not as comfortable as its big brother, the E Class, but we have to again compare it to its main competitors, the A4 and the BMW 3 Series. Now, this car is a much more sedate driving experience, a much more comfortable cruising car. So if you want a car that you can push around corners very well, then I suggest you go for the 3 Series. If you want a car that you're gonna carry 2 or 3 passengers at the back more often, more of a family car, then you should go for A4. That has way more legroom. It's the transmission tunnel at the back is not that high because it is a front-wheel drive car after all. But if you just want the 3-pointed star, if you want to arrive in the 3-pointed star, and if your driving experience is more of a relaxed driving experience as how I would normally drive, then the W204 C200 BlueEfficiency is not a bad proposition. So you want to upgrade your aging vehicle to make it look a little bit more modern and at the same time add a little bit more safety. What's the best way to do that? You upgrade to LED headlights. And today here, my friend's 1995 Tamaraw FX will receive this treatment. We're going to use this Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights from ZeroStainAutomotive.com, and we're gonna see just how much brighter the light can be. So here, driving the Tamaraw FX, and as you can see, the stock headlights are doing a really poor job of illuminating the road. And even if you use like high beam right now, it's not doing a great job out of it. Now we've installed ZeroStainAutomotive.com's Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights. Even with just the low beam, it is so much brighter than stock. And if you put on high beam, not only is it brighter, but it goes way further than stock. So if you're looking for something to upgrade the look of your car and also to increase your safety, just go to ZeroStainAutomotive.com and check out their line of LED headlights and other car accessories.